Greetings, ESL 106. Here we are. We're in Module 2, and we're discussing this article today called Map Making in the Digital Age. I hope you've had a chance to take a look at the article. This will be much more interesting for you if you've read the article already and tried to answer some of the questions here at the end of the article. So I have my book open. I hope you have yours as well. We're starting here on page 42, and we're going to take a look at this article, take a look at the main ideas and some of the key vocabulary. And I hope this will help you answering questions and just understanding this article better. So let's take a look. Even just starting on that first page, page 2. First of all, just asking about the topic. It's an article all about maps and how we get around in new places, in places that we're not familiar with. My question to you is, do you like to use maps? Do you use a map when you're trying to get somewhere, or do you just let your GPS tell you the directions? It seems like fewer and fewer people are using maps these days, and it's becoming a little more of a skill to be able to read them. Well, let's take a look at this article and see what it has to say about map making in the digital age. So they use these words. They talk about a compass rose. And I wonder if you know, this is a compass rose. I'm going to move it over here. It's the prominent feature of most maps, and it's the thing that tells us north, south, east, and west. And that's really one of the navigation tools that was used in the old days, this compass rose. I want you to take a look at a few more vocabulary words, especially here in this first section. What are some synonyms that you found? Words that are used in these first paragraphs, this first section, that mean map makers. There are a couple synonyms. What are some words that mean digital age? Also looking for some synonyms. This is our title, right? Map makers in the digital age. And I found as I looked through the article, the writer uses some synonyms or other words to describe these things. For example, in paragraph 2, I see that the writer wants to use the word cartographers. And I find out cartographers is just a synonym for map makers. It means the same thing. In paragraph 4, the writer begins to talk about computerized systems. And that's a reference to the digital age, to computers. In paragraph 7, looking ahead, it refers to computer-based programs. And again, that's touching on this idea of the digital age. So I want you to keep all this in mind, map makers, cartographers, and this digital computerized system that we're using. And so here's my next question. Where did you find the main idea of this article? As you're reading the article, I hope you will be attentive to finding some of the main idea sentences. Where did you look? Where did you find the main idea for this article? I highlighted a sentence here at the end of paragraph 5. And often this is where I find the main idea, at the end of the first section, so that I can see this whole section, paragraphs 1 through 5, they're all serving as an introduction. And paragraph 5 gives me a thesis. It asks this question: can individuals contribute to one unified map in the same way that Perry Rees combined the work of 20 other map makers? So this is asking the question about current digital maps and looking back at the older Perry Reese, who we find out is a map maker from the 1500s. And this article really wants to make some comparisons. Can we still contribute to a map, to one unified map, in the same way that Perry Reese did in the 1500s? I found another good main idea sentence when I looked all the way at the end of the article. So another place to check is the last paragraph, the conclusion. And again, the writer emphasizes the main idea. The writer, he or she, wants to keep comparing the old map making and the new map making. This is the contemporary cartographer's connection to the old map makers, Perry Reese, combining centuries of knowledge, science, and art into one great, innovative world map. So I want you to think about this sentence, this idea of having to use science and art, knowledge that's been gathered, and that's how both the contemporary cartographers and the old guide, Perry Reese, how they are able to do their work. So guys, as we think about the main idea of this article, we're finding it in the first section, we're finding it in the last section. I find it helpful to create an outline. And this is one way that I can see how this article works. There are 3 sections I see in this article, and there are 11 different paragraphs. And so I'm interested in knowing what is each section about, and I see these subtitles for each section, right? The old ways of map making is the first section. The pioneers of a new navigation system is the next section. And collaborative mapping is somehow the third section. So I want to find main ideas for each paragraph, and I'm going to take notes with just some of the key keywords, key points, key ideas in each paragraph, and that's how I'm coming up with an outline. I'm not going to write sentences. I'm not going to lift complete sentences from the article. I'm just going to find something for each paragraph that might be seen as a title, right? Like, what is paragraph 1 about? What title would you give just paragraph 1? And when I look at paragraph 1, I see that they're introducing me to one of the oldest maps in the world. And this is a map that was found in it was found in 1929, but it was made in 1513 by Perry Reese. And they talk about this old map from the 1500s in paragraph 1, right? And then in paragraph 2, they talk about the map maker, Perry Reese, how he did his work in the 1500s, the way that he collected information, the way that he used older maps and information from his colleagues, from his contemporaries. In paragraph 3, it's very short. I see there's a focus on accuracy. They want to show us how amazing the map is that Perry Reese made. It was amazingly accurate. I want to show you how I'm writing these things. I wrote these things in this way, these titles, these keywords for each paragraph. The old map in paragraph 1, the old map maker in paragraph 2, and all this amazing accuracy. In paragraph 4, I find out how they moved from these old maps into satellites that we use now. And as we said, paragraph 5 really gives me a guiding question, sort of the main idea that this article would like to answer. Continuing on, guys, into the second section, what are these paragraphs about? 6, 7, 8, 9. What is a title you would give for each of these paragraphs? When I looked at section 2, I saw that paragraph 6 starts to talk about paper maps and moving from paper maps to GPS, this digital kind of map. Paragraph 7 really emphasizes that both science, computers, whatever navigation science we have, and artistry, design, colors, presentation, all of this is needed for a good map. And there's an emphasis when I get to paragraph 8 about how there's a similarity between how the old guys made their maps and how we're making maps today. In paragraph 9, they emphasize this idea of users are now contributing to the maps, that we have these maps that are now interactive, right? And users can start to contribute information. It's a very exciting way to be involved in maps. I'm looking at the last section and I see they continue with this theme about collaborative mapping, interactive maps. And really paragraph 11, as we talked about, is the conclusion. And it's talking about how you could bring together the old and the new when you're looking at map making. So guys, hopefully you've been able to look at this this article about map making. I'm going to ask you some questions in your assignment. I'm going to ask you about the main ideas of different paragraphs. And the book asks you to look closely at some of the details in each paragraph in order to answer these questions in a closer look. I want you to check your answers. Hopefully you've done a closer look. And here are my answers for questions 1 through 4. So I'm on page 47. I'm just circling A, B, C, or D. You can see my answers. You can see where I got them, which paragraph I found these answers in. So I want you to check your answers with me. Here's the answers for numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8. We don't have time to look at each of these now, but if you have questions, you're welcome to ask those questions and to email me. You're welcome to look back more closely at these answers and see if you can understand how I got these as my answers. Guys, just a few more things to look at in the skill review section. This is a skill review helping us to manage unfamiliar words, right? That's our skill for this week. And in this section, they pulled out some sentences from the article, and they said, what does this word mean? Think about this word, infancy, and we've seen that word before. Maybe you know that word, and they say, what does that word mean in this context? You can choose A, behaving like a baby, or B, early stages of development. And hopefully you can see, as you look at the skill review, I'm on page 47, that in this sentence, I'm really talking about early stages of development, right? I'm not talking about children here. Or number 2, what does fragile mean in this context? Number 2 is talking about maps being fragile. Would you choose A or B? So hopefully you were choosing A, talking about it being easily destroyed or damaged. So guys, I want you to continue with that skill review and see if you can answer A or B based on the context. As we finish up this article, I'm going to send you back in, ask you to read it again, and then you'll be ready to do assignment 2, as well as go to discussion board and answer this question in discussion board. Something I'm interested to hear your opinion